Right then, usually we on day two are always live after lunch when there's some action happen, but today happens to be slightly different because a lot of action has happened even before a single ball has been bowled on day two of the test match, and our worst fears have come true. If you were live with us last night at the end of the day, one show that we do, we had kind of expressed this looking at how Rishabh Pant got injured, and most of us were in agreement that highly unlikely that Rishabh Pant will take any part in the test match, and this is something that was confirmed this morning, that he's been advised 6 weeks of rest because he has a fracture in his toe. So it's no more a bruise or a cut, which seemed to be at that moment. Scans have revealed that there is indeed a fracture there, which means he's out of the series. Ishan Kishan, who's already in the UK, has been brought in as the replacement. However, there is this one area where it is possible that Rishabh Pant might play a certain role in this game, and that was that if the Indian medical team feels that under the influence of painkillers they can get him to bat in a push comes to shove scenario, then they may take that call. But this is something that can only happen after the Indian team there, the medical team there that is with the team, approves that. That is something that we still don't know whether that has been approved or not. But even if he was to be allowed to do it under painkillers, you know that running and all is going to be impossible. Once you've fractured your toe, you can't run. Yeah, you probably would be able to stand and play. Having said that, our prediction in terms of his participation, as much as I hate to say it, that it's right, because this is something that you really don't wish for, came right. Do you see this scenario being exercised by the Indian team, that under painkillers he comes out to bat at any point of this test match?
Not the first innings. Because see, it's 2 innings, and we saw how gravely he got injured yesterday. He was writhing in pain. It was excruciating pain, as we all saw. And if you're even risking a batter, putting Rishabh Pant into bat would mean risking him for beyond 6 weeks. The good thing is you don't have important series coming up immediately. You have a gap after this series, and one thing we know is he's ruled out of the 5th and final match of the series. So that is one thing that we know for sure now. But if this comes to a situation where you have to save the test match, India are in a dire need where they need some sort of runs, any amount of runs are going to be worth their weight in gold, perhaps then I see a situation where in the second innings you could still have a Rishabh Pant, be it to save the test match or to win it, that he may be just asked to go out there and wail the willow. But otherwise, in the first innings, I don't quite see him having a role to play, especially because it's not even been 24 hours since he copped up that blow. And as we know, with these injuries, it's a fracture. Now that we know about it, it hurts a little more after the first few hours, after the first 10-15 hours, after you get your first night's sleep. It swells up a bit more. The pain really gets to you. It intensifies. I don't see him having a role to play for the Indian team in the first innings. In the second, however, if the match demands, if the situation demands, you may just ask him. And by then, hopefully, it would have been 72 hours or so, or at least 48 hours since the time that the injury would have taken place, that he be asked to go out and do some sort of provide some sort of help to the Indian team.
If you ask me, I don't see him step onto the field from now on. Quite
even honestly, in the second innings?
Not even in the second innings. That is because if you have suffered a fracture, then even if you take painkillers, running to forget, even walking is tough. You may not feel the pain, but you can't walk. So how does he even go to the crease, or how does he even bat? I don't think they'll be doing that at all. Yeah. And by the way, it has also been confirmed that fans have seen him outside the team hotel walk in a moon boot. Already he's wearing a moon boot. Now, from there to remove that and get him to come and wear cricketing boots, let alone him, batting is far-fetched. I don't even think he can wear a boot, a normal boot, and come out. What is a a moon boot. For those of you who don't know, we'll try and show it to you. If Shivam is there, he'll quickly show you on the screen. So this is what is a moon boot. You must have seen people who do fracture their leg oftentimes wear this. So this is what Rishabh Pant is already wearing. So from this scenario, no matter how many painkillers you take, you're not coming out to bat. So now it is pretty much, even though they've not announced it, because the Indian team management said that if need be painkillers, we are exploring that option. I can tell you with a great degree of certainty that he's not coming out to bat. So now you are a man less in this particular test match. That takes me to, and we have three big questions. One is already has been answered, that can he participate even for a minute period of time in this test match? I think the clear answer to that is no. Takes me to the second question. Now that we know he's not going to be participating at all, how does this impact India's chances in this test match?
Severely. I think India's chances in this match have taken a huge hit. He was looking good. He was batting at 37 when he got injured, and not only does this impact your first innings total and psychologically then puts you in a certain place in this test match, you're batting with only 9 people in the second innings, and that's a big blow. And if the 10th batter, the missing batter, is Rishabh Pant, then there's a certain degree of damage. There's a certain percentage of your winning margin that gets reduced in that very moment. There's only one team that benefits out of this. It's the home team, and India will have to do something that they had done perhaps on the, not this tour, the 2021 tour of Australia, where you had so many injuries. You had a very young team. You had people play with injuries. You had people taking blows on the chin, on the elbow, on the shoulder. And it was a miraculous, win for one win for the ages for the Indian team over there. You'll have to have an epic match of sorts if India are to just galvanize and pull a rabbit out of a hat here. Otherwise, it looks difficult for the Indian team, if you ask.
I mean, there's no other way to look at it. Once one of your biggest match winner is out, it will dent your confidence. And I agree that injuries have happened in the past, and India has gone on to win those matches, but it's never been a case of 10 versus 11. It's always been, okay, somebody got injured, so you went into another match with a replacement, and the replacement has fired. Even if injuries have happened, let's say for example, Hanuma Vihari, for example, batting in Sydney with that groin injury, but he's still grinding it out. In Rishabh's case, no further part. So no matter which way I look at it, it is a big blow. It's a big dent. One of your biggest match winners going out. It's pretty much like, let's say, Ben Stokes out for England, not participating, pulls up a groin and does not participate at all in the test match. You know how much it will affect England's chance. It's pretty much like that for Pant. But if I was to look at a silver lining, I mean, the one thing that... So Rishabh is coming in to play a dual role, that of a batter and a wicket-keeper, both of which he's very good at. So now, at least his wicket-keeping role will be taken care of by Dhruv Jurel, who did it very well in the previous test match. So, okay, that bit is sorted. The issue now arrives with his batting. I don't know, if I'm the Indian team and I have to now pep up the Indian team, if I'm part of that dressing room, if I'm the captain, I have to prep up the Indian team. I know it's a big blow because this can really, pull the team down as soon as you lose a match winner. But the way I will try and explain it to the team, that okay, let's take this, that okay, his wicket keeping is sorted, so we sorted on that front, we'll get a replacement on that. In batting, let's say there could have been a test match like this where Rishabh made 37 in the first innings and 0 in the second. So I'm just putting it like that. So assume that he's not had a very good test match. He got 37 in the first innings, 0 in the second, and he kept for you 2 days. And so let's take it from there. I mean, that's the best case scenario. I know it doesn't in any way help you cover that advantage, because Rishabh Pant, even in the second innings when you're chasing, you'd be expecting him to step up. Who knows here, 37 could have been 100 or a 60 or a 70, whatever. That's not happened. But I think I'll have to take it like that. And there is a possibility that one of your top player doesn't have a great test match and yet you go on to win. So it's not impossible, but I agree that the scales now will heavily be tilted in England's favour. In fact, if you take a look at the innings right now, 264 for 4 looks still quite decent, but now you are making it 264 for 5. And that just suddenly changes a lot of things with no top order batter as such, only all-rounders.
This puts a lot of pressure. We were talking about the number of batting pairs left for the Indian team. This is your second last recognized pair per se. The third batting pair from now will have a debutant. So let's
You
not...
are saying recognize, a lot of people are going after Shardul Thakur, saying that
Bits and pieces.
bits and pieces. I was seeing on social media, how can he come to bat ahead of Washington Sundar? For Shardul's sake, I hope he has a good day with the bat. But not too many people in India
was just not happy with his selection in the 11. He went ahead and in fact said that he called him bits and pieces. And I hope there's a reversal, that there is a return of what had happened when the last time an Indian player was called bits and pieces like that. I hope that it fires.
So 2 bits and pieces.
So yeah, so the other ones anyway made his mark, and you'll think twice before calling him bits and pieces now. But for Shardul, he made a good start, let's be honest. But just coming back to what Navjot Singh Sidhu said, he said that even if he scores a 50, it sort of doesn't justify his selection.
Why not?
I don't quite get that.
Yeah, if he has a horrible test match, then he's right.
Yeah.
But if he scores a 50 and picks up a few wickets, then...
See, if it's exactly the repetition of what happened in Leeds, he'll stand vindicated. But if it's anywhere, if it's far away from that, then he might have to eat his words.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, now to the third question, because we're discussing Rishabh Pant. The third question is, and that's a forward-looking question, should substitutes be allowed in Test match cricket? You already have a precedent there in terms of concussion substitute. It already exists. Should it be extended to external injuries?
It's a tough one because in sport...
I asked tough questions. That's why. If it was an easy one, I wouldn't ask it.
It's a tough one because I see some area with injuries, be it internal or external, and teams are smart these days. You see teams misuse it at times. More often than not, the misusing comes when it comes to internal injuries. Perhaps this is a thing we've learned from football, where there is simulation that happens every minute of the game. Perhaps, but cricket, you could argue Indian team has been accused of misusing the concussion sub. We saw Harshit Rana being named as a substitute for Shivam Dube. Joss Butler wasn't happy with that, but that's internal.
And rightly so.
Rightly so. You got in a player, even though you played by the rule book, that in some way was misinterpreting the rule, but the rule book allowed you that loophole to misinterpret it the way that you did. With external injuries, things change a bit, but I still feel there is a grey area where things can still be misused, because while a cut or a little bit of a swelling on the face of it, we've seen, let's roll back the years, we've seen a heavily strapped Anil Kumble bowl with a fractured jaw as well. He couldn't have celebrated, he couldn't have done anything. He still played that match against the Windies, picked up the wicket of Lara, and he did well. In today's day and age, if you allow this, I don't think you'll find the same precedent as the one that I just talked about. I think teams, if it's a seam friendly wicket, I don't see a like for like replacement then happening. Perhaps you will not see an Anil Kumble carry on, but in a similar situation, if a Javagal Srinath was on the bench for me, I would have had him then go have a crack. So I think if you allow these rules at the moment, the game changes completely, and you're looking at a different dimension to the sport altogether. And this is where I don't feel teams at the moment will use it in the right spirit. Perhaps they will perhaps try to make the most out of that particular situation, and that may just tip the scales at times. That may shift the balance of the game.
No, but there is ambiguity in concussion. What if you have to argue that if it's an external injury and you don't leave an ambiguity there, an external injury which is visible, only then allow a substitution?
See, let's go back to again the BGT
and you talk about like for like. Now I think there's been a rule change when it comes to like for like. So
but that's for impact sub.
So I'm saying just as that, so just so that you don't misuse it in that sense, like for like has to be literally like for like. So if you put all of those things in...
or then we need a strong policy formation. The rules need to be watertight. At the moment, the impact sub rule wasn't that watertight. So if you've learned something and you're trying to go in that direction where you want a 11v11 and not an 11v10 or an 11v9 scenario, then you need watertight rules. And so often that we've seen in our sport, the rules aren't that watertight. So that's my worry with this. Since the BGT of 2020-21 just came in the conversation a short while back. Remember, there was an injury to Aaron Finch as well, and then he wasn't immediately rushed off, but he was clearly in pain at that moment. But he still managed to carry on in that series, or at least in that match.
So did Rishabh in the previous Test match.
Exactly, but
that's a different injury to this injury.
So again, we've seen finger dislocation happen with batters so often. And that's very much an external thing. You see if there's a little bit of a dislocation and there's a fracture. We've so often heard about batters get a little finger fracture or something. If you're opening the gate for external injuries, then I think, all those times, let's say Zach Crawley. Remember, there was so much of ruckus on that day 3 when Jasprit Bumrah hit him and he was trying to defend the ball, when we saw all that drama happen. What if there was a bit of an injury or a little bit of a fracture that he would...
So allow a substitute.
Exactly. So
allow it.
It will change everything around the sport, is what I'm saying.
See,
it's a Zach Crawley also who's out of form, remember. So a little bit of an opportunity that you get to get somebody else.
No. Then you always have a chance of not playing him at the start of the test. You're going with him because you believe in him. And in the middle of the test match, who knows, he could have gotten runs there.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're getting an advantage. See, the way I see it, I think you have to make a clear distinction. And why I say, if you just leave it to external injuries, let's say, so first thing is first, no internal injury. So because internal injuries is what allows you to then find loopholes. So I will say that I have a hamstring pull, I have this pull, I pulled this muscle, then that I can start limping and say I have that injury. You can't really visibly see that. So then I can misuse it and teams can find that loophole. That's an issue. Then you do the other thing, say only for external injury. But there is a scope there of misuse, and I'll tell you the difference there would be external injury is a bruise also, external injury is a cut also. So now if teams begin to argue that on a cut, it's an external injury, you can see a cut, I can't bat, I need to go out. Or I have a massive bruise, you can see the bruise here, I can go out. How this can be misused is that you never know if you really find you've made a bad call in, let's say, picking a spinner on a seam-friendly pitch. You can, because sport is so competitive, you can go to that extent of ensuring that that player gets bruised in the match as well. He'll dive for a ball and get that bruise or a cut. Players can push themselves to that extent because a bruise or a cut is something that can be fixed in a week. So if you do it like that, they can again misuse it by saying that, listen, I've got a cut or I've got a bruise, so I need to go out. So there is another scope of being misused there. So I think what you need to do, maybe the best case scenario for me would be allow one substitute no matter what. So see, that evens things out.
It can't be like for like, na?
No, like for like.
So you announce a list.
Yes, you announce a list of, and not everyone has to be exactly that thing. You announce 5 substitutes.
But see, again, that thing will happen as we saw in the case of that Harshit Rana substitute, or being the substitute for a Shivam Dubey. It was on paper, it was like all-rounder.
It has to be, now they're trying to make it watertight. Now it has to be in consultation with the opposition captain. You have to sit and do it. I think that is something that can be looked at. So you announce 5 substitutes that can be looked at, and now you call them injury substitute. Or if you have an injury, whether now it's internal, external, because loopholes you'll start looking at, you allow that. So it's much like an impact sub. You don't have to use it. Again, up to the teams, but it's an injury substitute. And if you do feel, sometimes the injury will be genuine, sometimes they'll find the loophole. But if it's allowed for both teams to get that one substitute, teams are free to use it. So keep that one sub, like it happens in football.
While I'm all for, see, again, the thing with football is it's part of the sport that way.
But I'm saying so that you don't reach a scenario where you have 10 versus 11. No, I'm saying as of now it's 10 versus 11, and that's something that I want to eliminate. It's not fair. Let's say at the start of a test match, on day 1 you become 10 versus 11. Then it is, it's like having a boxing match with one boxer, his hand is tied, and now you expect him to fight the entire boxing match. So I'm saying, if keep that in mind, if you allow one substitute for both teams, injury substitute. Now whatever is the scope of injury, because there is ambiguity there, you change it. Simple as that. At least it's even Steven for both.
I think, with our sport already having so much to look at in terms of controversy, technology is still not 100%. There are questions that get cast over it. We're still not sure of certain rules. Bunny hopping is not allowed anymore, and so many of the rules are still
evolved. No, Arshit.
Yeah, you do.
Like, for
I
example,
think you're opening the door for more controversy.
No, but like in Mankat, I think they did the right thing.
Absolutely right.
So they said it's now in the rule. That's what I'm trying to say. See, earlier it was spirit, not spirit, this ambiguity. Na? So I'm saying whenever you don't have an ambiguity, you say exactly this is it. So now no ambiguity. It is injury substitute is allowed for you, team A, team B. Now just change it. Whenever you say na this particular injury or only external or this type of, then issue starts. Saying, Arey, but that time my player had that bruise, that's an external injury you didn't allow. You are saying for this is allowed. So I don't, you cut out the ambiguity. One injury substitute allowed for you or me. But once you've taken it, you only have one, right? So supposing you do it early on in the game because of a hamstring, which very could have been fixed, and maybe day 4 you genuinely have an injury, you can't make use of it. So you can't cry saying that, I'm not allowed. You had that option, you exercised it on day 1. The best would be not to exercise it and keep it till you actually reach a stage where the player just cannot play. Because that can happen on day 5. So at least I'm saying it's even for both teams. So both teams can't cry. Before the test match, you don't know which team will have that injury. You have it for both teams, you allow it, do it. Or if you don't want to do it, the other thing can be then you actually write it down that what is the injury. So it'll only be allowed in terms of a bone breaking, crack, break, or a dislocation.
But then what do you do, let's say about a swelling?
No, not allowed. That's what I'm trying to say. So what you do, and because these can be found out in scans, right? So there is no ambiguity there.
I think
you see only for breaking fingers.
We see everybody reacts differently. It can be a grade 1 tear, let's say, but it led to a lot of swelling. Now swelling becomes
But
external.
if it's not part of that thing.
If it's a hairline with a lot of swelling, so even if you
are so you put hairline into it.
Yeah.
See, because hairline is impossible. If you've had a hairline fracture, I have. It is as painful as breaking a bone. So you can't function. So you put in where it comes on the X-ray. If it's black or white. If it's come on the X-ray, like this is what it is. Then we can. Anything which is a swelling, bruise, cut or whatever, we can't.
I just feel at the moment, while I'm all for the game evolving, for the sport to evolve, I think we're not ready for such sort of evolution at the moment. It opens the door for greater controversy. And
that is why I said that you have the first option. Just allow
for now,
one substitute,
I know
one injury substitute.
We see it more in individual sport, let's say tennis, boxing, where if a player is unfit, they pull out of the match, it's a hamstring, whatever it is. You see that happen in every tennis tournament. If a player is unfit, they pull out, the match gets awarded to the opponent. You live with it. Right, you live with
Fair
it.
enough. That's another argument that you take it as part and parcel of sport.
I see this opening the door for greater controversy.
No. It will. As soon as I put these, riders, this is the injury, that is the injury. That's what happens in concussion where, this is the injury.
Because we go down that road where, okay, there'll be a central agency, whatever, a neutral agency that will look at scans. But at the moment, wasn't India or wasn't... India was accused, right, 2023 World Cup of having matches played. So even though it was everything was happening under the purview of the ICC, that pitches were to India's liking. We heard opposition say that. We heard opposition script about that. Why take ourselves into that direction again, where it opens up for greater criticism, where you'll say, okay, home team, they had their home, whatever.
Which is why I'm saying it has got nothing to do with home away. One injury substitute allowed. Simple as that for you and for me. Whatever you judge your injury. You have one substitute allowed, right? Judge your injury whenever. You want it on day 1 for a little hamstring pull. I mean, not a little hamstring, but a little, ankle twist. Fine, take it. And then 3 days down the line, if someone really fractures the bone, you used it pretty early. Or you say, no, boss, if it is really a serious injury, I'll look at it or I won't change it. And one injury substitute is allowed. The only problem with that will be that sometimes that can be used, as I said, even though it's allowed for both teams, if one team blunders in its selection, then they will use that injury substitute to bring that. So that's the other issue with it. Or I think the best solution, as Harshit mentioned, maybe you can just say, too bad, physical fitness is part and parcel of sport. Carry on, injury, whatever it is, you're done. Okay, on that note, we're going to say bye-bye. Enjoy the test match. We're going to be live at lunchtime, as we always are.
And there's just on cue, there is more insult to injury.
Yeah. You let us know what you make of the current scenario in the comment section. If you have a solution about this injury substitute, which can be amiable to everyone and everyone can agree to it, it'll be fantastic. Maybe we'll discuss it in one of our shows as well. For the moment, from Harshit and I, thank you very much for watching. Do please give us a like on the video.
India are 6 wickets down now. 5 has to be now read as 6, and We hope that we see you only at lunch, but looks like we may have to see you earlier as well. Who knows?
Bye.
Bye. Take care.